Hey everyone, we're going to start in just a second. Give some time for everybody to pop into the room. Welcome, welcome. It's great to have you guys here.
Hi everyone.
Still have everybody pouring in quickly, which is fantastic. Get everybody in before we start. Hope everybody's just doing good on this Friday. Welcome everybody. Feel free to hover down in the lower part of your screen and you'll see the chat icon if you'd like to introduce yourselves. Just want to let everybody know too that we are recording this orientation in case you need to pop off early, but hopefully you'll be able to stay for the full 30 minutes. Okay. Let's give one more minute while everybody keeps streaming in. I'm really excited that you guys are able to join us today. Thank you for making the time. We've got a lot to cover, a lot of good things to cover. As you can see, we've decorated for the event. All right. Hey, everybody. How are you? Welcome to our live orientation for the AWS DeepRacer Scholarship Challenge. My name is Brenda.
And I'm Grace.
And we'll be your community managers for the scholarship program. Before we begin, can you guys do me a favor and give me a thumbs up or type yes in chat to let us know that you can hear us? Awesome. Fantastic. Okay.
Yes.
Hi. If everybody will do me a favor and make sure that your microphone is on mute. We'll leave room at the end for questions, but for right now, if you could make sure your microphone is on mute, hover down to the lower part of your screen and a toolbar will appear with your microphone in the left-hand corner, and you can just easily move yourself that way. All right, so as I said, I'm Brenda and this is Grace. And some of you may recognize me from the Grow with Google Scholarship or the Facebook PyTorch Scholarship. And some of you may know Grace from the Facebook Deep Learning Scholarship. And Grace and I are super excited to be with you over the next 3 months as you build, train, and deploy your DeepRacer model on the virtual racetrack for a chance at a full scholarship to Udacity's Machine Learning Engineering Amateur Degree Program. And whether you've participated in a Udacity scholarship program before, or this is your first one, you'll notice that this particular program is set up a bit differently, and we'll go into that in just a minute. But first, I want to introduce you to two very special guests. Today we have Chris Vasquez and Michael Virgo with us to help us present. Chris is the program manager for scholarships and holds 3 Udacity Nano degrees in Intro to Programming, AI Programming with Python, and Business Analytics. And Michael Virgo is one of Udacity's curriculum managers and is personally responsible for putting together your AWS DeepRacer course content. And Chris and Michael, if you'll do me a favor and unmute your microphones and give a hello to everybody, this way racers will know who you are.
Hi.
Hey everyone, I'm Michael.
Michael.
Hey everyone, I'm Chris.
Hi guys, it's Manthan.
Okay, so let me share my screen now so we can start our slide presentation. Again, if you'll do me a favor and put your microphones on mute until the very end when we'll open the floor for questions. And then while I'm getting set up, I'd love to know, use the chat for this, if this is your first, second, or third AWS DeepRacer experience. And as you read the responses, keep in mind that everyone was a beginner at some time. So let me share my screen now. Give me just a moment. Okay. That took a few seconds. All right. So again, welcome to our race orientation for the AWS DeepRacer Scholarship Challenge. I'm here with Grace, Michael Virgo, and Chris Vasquez. And for our agenda for today, so we'll start with Chris, who will provide you with an overview of this challenge program. And then Michael will share his personal tips on how to get the most of your AWS DeepRacer course. Grace and I will cover community, and then we'll leave some time at the end so you can type your questions for us in chat. So let's start with the program interview with Chris. Chris, take it away.
Awesome. Thanks, Brenda. Hey, everyone. Excited to be here today with you all. Just want to give you a overview of the program for the next 3 months with AWS. So yeah, Brenda, let's go to the next slide, please. So in this scholarship program, there are 2 phases. So the first phase is the challenge phase, which started yesterday and is running for the next 3 months, ending on October 31st. During this challenge phase, you're all part of the Slack community, which has a dedicated community manager that's going to be there for you guys along the way. So, you know, as well as having each other to depend on and help out from as far as peers go. The second phase is going to be the nano degree phase for a full scholarship into the machine learning engineer nano degree program. So there will be 200 students that will be selected. We'll go over the selection process in the next slide. But I just wanted to point out that a really unique thing for this scholarship program is that there is the chance to unlock additional full scholarships depending on the amount of submissions that we get. So we highly encourage you to, you know, tell your friends, your coworkers about this program because there is the potential to unlock some additional scholarships in addition to the 200. Let's go to the next slide. Cool. So the selection criteria for phase 2 for a full scholarship into the machine learning engineer nano degree program. First off, registering for the challenge course, the AWS DeepRacer challenge course. In that course, you're going to learn how to create, train, and fine-tune your racing models. The second criteria is submitting your entry to each month's unique virtual racetrack. So each month there's going to be a new racetrack, so you'll train your model again and then resubmit for each month. So the top performers for each month, so the month of August, September, and October, would be the ones that would get selected for a scholarship, as well as participants who scored the highest total points across all 3 of the months. And then next slide, please, Brenda. And then some successful, some tips on how to be a successful racer. Devoting at least an hour every day to the challenge. You know, it doesn't have to be a full hour, you know, if you can't fit it in, but at least devoting some time every day to the challenge. That'll just build consistency over time. Staying active in the Slack community as well, helping out your peers, participating in the community itself. we've seen a lot of success with community-driven learning. And then also keeping an eye out on messages in like the announcements channels. We'll have AMA sessions during the week as well. You don't need to track every single channel that's in Slack because that can be a bit overwhelming. But definitely take part in the community and join some meetups or even initiate some of your own meetups. We've definitely seen a lot of success with community-driven learning.
Sorry about that slide. Those slide hiccups, Chris.
No worries. Thank you.
Having a little bit of technical difficulties today, as you can tell. Okay. I don't know what is going on. Apologize, you guys. Okay. I'm going to try and get this crazy thing off of my there we go, off my screen. Okay. Michael, sorry about that. Michael Virgo will cover how to get started in your classroom. Michael works with subject matter experts to build great online learning courses, and it was Michael who personally put together your AWS DeepRacer course. Michael, you want to take it away?
Thanks, Brenda.
Yeah.
So yeah, again, I'm Michael. I'm a curriculum manager here at Udacity. I actually originally got into programming through Udacity. I used to work in accounting and, kind of decided I wanted to make a switch and actually first learned Python through Udacity through the Intro to Computer Science course. I've now taken, I think, 4 nanodegree. Machine learning nanodegree was actually my first nanodegree I took at Udacity. Self-driving car was the next one. And for the first year and a half or so I was at Udacity, I was actually on our self-driving car team and now am a curriculum manager. So here we're going to walk through real briefly how to access your classroom as well as a few tips and tricks to get you started. So here, as you can see, if you've been to the Udacity classroom before, you've seen this. You can access it through classroom.udacity.com/me. And then either in the top, if you've been in it recently, or perhaps further down on the page is going to be the AWS DeepRacer course. And you will just click on that course to go ahead and move on to the next screen where you can access the lessons. So here, this is what the actual course is going to look like before you've clicked into a lesson. You'll start here with some more details about the scholarship program, and then you'll actually get into the real course itself. Once you're within a lesson 2, you're also going to be able to see different concepts on the left side of your screen. And, that's how you're going to go ahead and get into the classroom itself. So we'll briefly go through some tips here. We'll also have a little bit of time at the very end for some questions if you guys have anything further than what's on here. I do want to say at the start that some of these terms you might not be familiar with if you haven't been exposed to machine learning or reinforcement learning. Those are all topics that you're actually going to get taught during the course. So it's okay if, as you look down here, you don't know what reward functions are, what hyperparameters are. That's all things that you're going to learn in the classroom. So don't be worried if you're not exactly sure just yet what I mean. So just getting started, at least, make sure that you're taking the time to do all the exercises in the classroom. It's going to teach you how to use the AWS DeepRacer platform. It's going to get into how to create your first model, how to improve that model. And then at kind of near the end of the course, you'll even get to see how a lot of the things behind the scenes are working with AWS between the different systems. Also, when you start your training, you can actually start your training and it'll come up, it'll have a view that you can see how your training is progressing as well as what is going on in the simulator at the same time. Apparently we're getting some nice drawings again for you all. So anyway, what can happen is you'll sit there and set training to go for, say, like an hour. And during that hour, you can watch what's going on in the simulator, but you can also decide to move on to the next lesson while that training is going on. got a great artist here going.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not sure why these are happening because I'm not moving my mouse.
Yeah, it might be someone on the thing
Okay.
doing too.
Okay.
Anyway, I'll keep going through these. I guess you guys can enjoy our nice graphic artistry going on at the same time. Anyway, what you can so moving forward on while you're actually in the training, one thing that you'll want to do is compare different reward functions by how they behave and try out a lot of different approaches to your reward functions. So if you don't know what a reward function is yet, it's essentially that you're giving a bonus to your model anytime it's doing a behavior that you want it to do, such as staying on the track as opposed to driving off of it. In this case, if your vehicle is driving off the track, you might not want to give any reward or even penalize the model versus if it's driving the way that you want to or driving faster to get around the track quicker, then you might want to give it a larger bonus. It is also important to note that they're not necessarily apples to apples. Different reward functions can have vastly different values. For instance, if you have one reward function that at the end has a reward of 20 and another reward function that has a reward of 5, it doesn't necessarily mean that if you used a different reward function that the reward function with 20 is better. If you think this through, this could be because at each time step, you might just be giving it a reward of 1, regardless of what its behavior is. And in the opposite side, you're only giving a reward of 1 selectively. And so in that case, if it's actually still leading to a better behavior, that's why it's important to watch the simulator and see what the end result is. So going on to the next step here is about tuning hyperparameters. This is also going to be something that you can do in the AWS DeepRacer platform, and you'll be able to actually see how each of them interact with how your model behaves. It's important to go ahead and work through these separately so that you can see the individual impacts of these in isolation as opposed to trying to tune 5 hyperparameters at once. And then you don't necessarily know which of those things that you tuned is having a better or worse impact on your model. The last thing also to note is that you can stop your training early. This can be important because if you put in for an hour of training and your model isn't actually improving, then it's going to be a big problem because you just essentially used up an entire hour of training and yet you're getting no positive benefit from it. Especially with AWS, you want to keep your hours lower when you can. So just go ahead and if you don't see any improvement with your model, go ahead and end it early and start anew, tuning hyperparameters differently, using a different reward function, all of that. So that's most of what I have here. Again, we'll take some more questions for you later on. So back to you all, Brenda.
Thanks, Michael. I think somebody is using Annotate, which is the little drawing pen at the very top. If you guys could please, or whoever's drawing on the screen, erase what you've written. It's just distracting for everybody. Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, so Grace, you're up.
Yeah. Hey everybody, I'm Grace, and I'll be one of the community managers throughout your DeepRacer journey. So I'm here to talk to you about the resources that are available to you. The best way to connect with your peers as well as your community managers is through Slack. So please join if you haven't done so already. You can find the link on the next slide or on our Google site.
Again, whoever's writing on the screen, can you please yes, erase. Thank you so much. Thank you. Erase all of that. Thank you. Okay. No more, please. Okay. Moving on.
All right, great. So as I said before, Slack is the best way to really get to know your peers. You can receive support, whether it be motivational or technical, and it's a great way to build a sense of Slack is our main platform to host events such as AMAs. You have a weekly one with the community managers. Non-technical questions about the program. You can always find the schedule in our AWS site. Historically, for our more unique AMAs, we've had technical ones with developers and career-related ones with our career coaches.
Okay. Again, can I have whoever is drawing using annotate to please go up in the toolbar, move your mouse at the top and hit erase. Thank you. Okay, great. Sorry about that.
Oh, it's all good. And if everybody could mute their mics, that would be great. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, thank you. Okay, go ahead and erase the smiley face now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so we're gonna go over some general housekeeping rules. A big one is to respond in threads. To reply in a thread, hover over a post and click the bubble icon. There's so many of you folks and so little of us. This helps keep the conversation together as well as help us not miss anything. Another big one is to be respectful. This is a global scholarship and we have people from all around the world. We want to make this a safe and welcoming space for everyone, so please be mindful of different viewpoints and experiences. And when you're using Slack or just participating in this scholarship in general, we expect everyone to fully abide by the code of conduct, which you can read more about on our Google site. So speaking of our Google site, it's your one-stop shop for all the important information you need to be successful. Here you'll find all the announcements that have been made, tips on how to use Slack, RFAQs, and more. If you have a question, please check this site, or you can join us for our AMA sessions, also known as office hours. Come with any non-technical questions you may have about the scholarship. We have office hours twice a week on Mondays at 10 p.m. PDT and Fridays at 8 a.m. PDT. We'll have an additional office hour next week on Wednesday, and it'll be at 2 p.m. PDT. You can also email our support team, or if it's a very urgent or personal matter, feel free to DM both of us on Slack. And now I'll pass it over to Brenda.
Thanks, Grace. Now that we've reviewed the resources available to you, let's talk about the community. As past scholarship students will attest, community is one of the things that makes our program so memorable. And being involved in the community can be as simple as saying hello, adding a thumbs up emoji, or starting a conversation with a fellow racer. And when you're ready for more, you can consider applying for one of our volunteer channel leader positions. Channel leaders are the primary moderators of our Slack channels, but honestly, they do so much more. I've seen channel leaders create quizzes to help their classmates learn more effectively. I've seen them host office hours to answer technical questions and rally the community to celebrate each other's accomplishments. In the meantime, if being a channel leader is not for you, there are other ways to get involved. You can organize a racers group or host a local or online meetup. And if you prefer something more individual, we'll have a challenge where you can try to beat the race time from Udacity staff. Lastly, what's a race without an official pit crew shirt? Get your creative juices going by participating in our design challenge for a chance to see your creation transferred to swag. And look to the announcements channel in Slack for the launch of all of these initiatives and more. And if you walk away remembering anything today, we hope you remember these 4 things. Number 1, access your classroom. Join our Slack community. 3, bookmark the AWS DeepRacer Google site. And 4, know your resources. Ready, set, let's learn. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop my screen share now. And we're going to open this up for questions. And if you have a question for us, go ahead and hover your mouse to the bottom and click the chat bubble icon. And either me or Michael, Chris, or Grace will try to answer you. Okay. So let's go down.
Hello.
Okay. Let's do this one because I've actually seen this come up. Let's see. One of them is, I don't have an AWS account. How do I start? Chris, do you want to?
Yeah. So if you don't already have an AWS account, you can go to the DeepRacer site and create a new account. And the link for that, I believe, should be in the course. But if not, we can provide it on Slack for you. But you can create an account. It doesn't cost you anything to create an account. So yeah, if you don't already have one, just create one.
Yeah, it is, Michael, the link is in the course, right? Michael?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in the course. Okay, let's take another question. I'm leaning over to read some questions.
Badrash had one about community contribution. Will it count towards the machine learning scholarship? In this scholarship, community participation doesn't count, but we still want you guys to be active and build relationships. It's mostly about the fastest lab time that gets you closer to the scholarship.
Yeah, but we really hope that you guys approach this too as all helping each other learn together. I've seen there have been some of you in Slack that have been through the AWS DeepRacer experience before, and we're really looking to help share your wisdom, your experience, and your knowledge with your fellow racers here, because really I'd love for all of us to progress together. Okay, let's see. We will definitely share we'll be sharing these slides for you, and the link to the Google site that we've been referring to are in the slides. Let me see. Hi, can you elaborate more on each month's challenge and the selection procedure? Chris, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, sure. So each month there'll be a different racetrack, and you'll make your submissions to DeepRacer, and then AWS would be. We are working on like a leaderboard, like an AWS Udacity leaderboard that will be posted. I don't have an ETA on when that'll be up and running, but yeah. So each month there will be the top lap performers. And then as well as an overall cumulative number of points that are collected over 3 months. So that's how the scholarships will be distributed. The top performer per month, as well as the overall points performer at the end of the challenge phase.
Okay. Thanks, Chris. I think this question too, I've seen this question. Is the 10-hour credit, the free credit, available to us for the running model for every month or only for the first month?
I believe the 10-hour credit is like a one-time thing for the account. I can double check with AWS, and we can follow back up on Slack. But I believe it's a one-time credit to a new AWS account.
Yeah, we'll follow up on that for everybody. All right. Michael, do you see any questions in there about course content that you can help answer?
So I've seen a few questions on here about whether you can train locally. You should be able to essentially train a model locally as well. There are instructions in kind of later on in the course about how you can do some more training locally, as well as then upload a trained model back up online as well.
Thanks, Michael. Here's a question for you, Michael, too. Do we need to pay money for the AWS account, or is it free for us to set up?
It should be free for you to set it up to get started. And then same, as with Chris said as well, on the cost and like free hours and such. So.
Great. Okay, we're going to take one more question here. If you guys are, I just wanted to point out too that if you guys are having trouble with your AWS account, we'll also include the link to the AWS support center where you guys can email them. Okay.
There's a content related one.
Okay, great.
Roel asked, can we change the algorithm to train the agent? For example, the default algorithm is PPO. So can we write our own code for the algorithm?
I think in the main AWS DeepRacer console, there's potentially 2 different algorithms you can use. And then at the very end of the course is where you can get a lot more customized, where you kind of build the behind the scenes parts of the AWS services together. And in that case, you can implement that algorithm separately.
Excellent. Okay, so what we're going to do is, we're at time right now, so we're going to wrap up, but I just wanted to thank all of you for attending today. This session will be recorded again, and we'll post the slides on the AWS Google site. And if you have any questions that were not answered, we're hosting 3 special Ask Me Anything sessions next week in Slack, and the times of those are also on our AWS Google site. So check that for exact dates and times. Yeah. And thank you again for joining. Thank you to Michael Virgo and Chris Vasquez for being here to share their personal insights. Have a great day. Excited to be here with you guys in the Scholarship Challenge. Let's make it happen. All right. Bye. Have a good one.